Hello and welcome. I'm Cynthia Miller at Tangerine Sky Studios. This is what we're painting this week. It's a cozy little spot in the woods. Autumn picnic is what I call it. And I just wanted to show you the inspiration, and I'm not sure if it's still going to be there, but the way the light shines on that mountain over there, oh my goodness. That's my inspiration. Whoop, that's my stone. Um, yeah, I just wanted to share the low light this time of year. We've just entered a beautiful autumn season, and this is where I create. This is my space. My paints are buried under there somewhere. Just wanted to share.
We're going to jump right in here with a rather energetic wash, if I might say so myself. I'm using my big Hake brush, Hake, and now I'm using my big round one. I'm using a combination of different browns. I thought brown would be a good background color because it is kind of the underlying tone. I'm going to be putting vibrant yellows and reds and oranges on top of this brown to create that autumn look. So that's the wash that I wanted to start with. Now it is still dampish, and I'm using just a tissue to pull up some of the paint, and you'll find that wherever this tissue is, it actually takes it right back to the paper, which gives it some light. And that's really what this lesson is about, is painting the light. I'm taking in a little bit darker tones of the browns and adding some green with brown to make this nice moss color, and just adding a few very quick strokes onto top part of the trees, and then adding some nice red. Now remember, when you mix red with green, it does make a muddy color, and so you don't want to have too much of that muddy color. You want to keep those colors separate. Adding a little bit more of the vibrant forest green. I sometimes just add a little bit of my Payne's gray or black to my sap green to get a darker green. And you can just sort of play around with greens. That's the beauty of greens. There's so many different shades. But I have added some yellow, some green, red, adding a little bit more dark of the green here as well. Now just create a bit of a pathway here. We've got a band above the table and below the trees, and we want to create a grounding. Now my goal here with the plate and the mug was to create something that looked like pottery. And so I'm going back to maybe like a denim blue, indigo blue, with white and darker bits. So we're going to focus on creating a highlight in the center, darker at the sides. The inside of the handle is darker, and we put a little bit of liquid in the top of the mug. And once everything dries, then of course we'll go with the white to create the steam, but everything else has to be complete. That'll be the finishing piece of it. So I'm just going in there with some darker accents now, making sure that I have the bottom the darkest. It's going to have just a tiny bit of a shadow underneath it, and then all the sides will be where I'll put more darker spots. Keep the white in the center, and of course putting the liquid up top. I think this idea of a picnic in the autumn is such a special energy to it, because we have such beautiful days, yet we don't want to spend them indoors. So we have these moments outdoors that we can celebrate and have a resting time, and take the moment for ourselves. Now for the actual pastry on the pie, I mixed a little bit of yellows and browns, and came up with a nice kind of golden color. And it's funny, I was thinking this is exactly how pastry is. You never know what color it's going to come out. You can try to do all your tricks and bake it just right, but sometimes you never know what the result will be. But I love that, you know, there's a bit of lattice work on this, and the crust is kind of curved. Every curve is going to be shadowed in with, you know, making it look like it's indented. The shape of the pie is going to have a bit of a crust on the bottom of it. And I apologize, sometimes the artwork is right at the bottom of the screen. I painted in a little bit of the plate there when I did a bit of the mug, and it doesn't really need too much, and I think sometimes we just overwork things. This piece of pie did need some work. I did go in probably 3 or 4 times with different shades and just go over the shape of it and marking out where those indentations are. And you can see as I put that on, it really does make those parts of the crust recede, and that's where the crust comes up around the sides. And so we have to figure out how to make things three-dimensional in that two-dimensional paper. So what I'm doing now, and again, I apologize, the artwork seems to be at the bottom of the screen. I'm just outlining the table. It is a wooden table, and it's a little bit rough. There's 3 planks, and I've just sort of outlined where the cracks are between the planks. And then I've just made it look like there is some grain to it by giving it a few strokes here and there, and bringing out the dark between the cracks a little bit more. Wherever that wash kind of landed, that's kind of what I go by. Is if it's a little bit dark, then that's in one spot. Well, then that's where I keep it dark, and I just add more pigment to it. You can see on the side here how the little blotches of brown just give it that look that it is you know, a wooden table outside. So that's the autumn picnic. So here I'm just outlining the darker areas, as I mentioned. Sometimes those sort of random dark spots, I usually just follow those, and you can put in little knots, you can put in little lines, you can sort of play with that to give it a look that is all these grains in the wood. So again, just keeping it simple. I didn't have the utensil in there when I first painted this, and so I added it afterwards, and then I put it in the template for you as well. But what I was trying to do was just not make it so that I had to draw a spoon or a fork or make it look like it was anything at all. It could be a knife. It's a utensil. I'm not going to eat the pie with my fingers, so I thought I better put something on the table. And when I'm doing the shadowing, then I can show you a little bit about what I did. I put the paint down and just bring it back up, and it looks like it's shining silverware. So just going into the table a little bit more here, giving it the actual color. Now, when I do the light in the trees, the light does come more in the left. So just keeping that in mind as I go through marking up the table with some more straight strokes. So I realized that I have to bring more detail into this piece of pie, and what I'm doing is just outlining the apples that are on the side. So the top is different from the side. The top has the pastry, the side has more of the outline, and I outline just a little bit darker, and just bringing that dark into a few of the different places, giving it a little bit more detail there, and as well as the bottom of the crust where it meets the pie there. Now, as I mentioned before, I did go in 3 or 4 times into the texture of the pie, putting a little bit more chocolatey brown in there, and just defining the pastry on the top and the apple slices on the side, just to give it a touch more detail. As you know, things that are close to us have more detail. So this is the freestyle part of it, and just get a fine brush and put your painting on a side, just like you see this, just like you see me doing here, and just gradually bring in trees that start at different layers. Here we've got some close to the picnic table, some far away from the table, and just put in a few little branches. So these branches just kind of fit in amongst the background colors that you've already put in there. And just have a look at it as you go. You can make some sort of go between what you've already created and add some to the right side of the page. And there, let me see, we've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, about a dozen trees. And now I'm adding a few in between those that are just a touch behind. So we've got some a little closer, some a little bit behind. That one's a little bit dark, so I end up taking some water and just making that one a little bit lighter. Now here comes the fun part, because it's, I think I call it an embellishment of these trunks. And what I did was just load my brush with some paint, put it on its side, and pull it up from where the trunk starts in the ground. And you'll see it creates all these different wonderful shapes and shadows. And it was just sort of something that I learned by accident. So embellish your twiggy-like trees. And I'm putting in very few. I mean, you could put them in shoulder to shoulder, but what I'm going to do is paint some light in there. And I want the light to come from the right to the left. And I'm going to create a bit of a landing for the light. And so just have fun with this embellishment of the trees. So I decided to do a little bit of an embellishment of the mug. I'm still not quite happy with it, and I think what I would love to have done is to round it out a little bit more. It just looks really stiff, and so I'm putting in some more darker tones of that indigo, and playing with the handle a little bit, the inside handle. You want to have a ring that is dark underneath in the hand. And now I'm going to put some water in between the trees where I want that light to shine through. I'm creating a bit of an area there where I'm going to put in a lovely yellow and let that shine through there. So this is a bright, kind of a lemon yellow. And I don't really want the trees to run, so I'm trying to do sort of in between, and then you can see some side strokes to the left. That's all you need to paint the light coming through. Just some yellow behind, and then I ground it and add some soil color, and then I end up going around the mug completely, because that was something that I needed to have that darker background behind the mug. So now I'm going to do is blend in that hard line of the yellow paint that we put on earlier, and just blend it up into the trees. I'm going to add some more red and green, and just embellish really the background. What I did was just hold it up so that the paint runs down this way, and just picking up a little bit of that paint. And I'm going to just let that background dry. I like the way the light is blended up into the leaves a little bit more. Just embellishing the table now. And, you know, really it's just about putting the grains on another layer. Another layer gives it more dimension. Mapping out the cracks of the table just to give it that look. Now we flipped it right upside down on you here, and I have a nice reddish brown I'm putting around the mug, and I think it really highlights it. It really makes it look like the background blends into all sides of the background. Basically, it looked a little spotty before. There we go. Now we're going to put in a little bit of a grounding for the trees that are close to the edge of the forest here, and just giving them a little bit of shadow within the forest, because there's other trees there behind them as well, and making that the darker side. as I mentioned, the light is shining from right to left here. And just started playing with the trees, and I ended up putting more color on them and giving them more shape, and just using the point of my brush, and I really do just roll it and let that point be the branches, and then I turn it upside down and try to give the tree some shape, putting in a mixture of the red and the yellow and the green. And yeah, this is a fun part too, because it's freehand, and it's loose, and your style comes out. Just hold your brush really loosely, and twirl it. That's what I can say is twirl it. Now you'll see on the right hand side the leaves are solid, and then I moved to less and less solid color, with more kind of dancing in the left hand side, and then just adding a few more shadows there of the trees. Now I'm going to be challenged with the shadows of these utensils, the mug, the plate, the fork, and a lot of shadow work is really more blue than black, than gray. You can put lovely colors into shadows, but I think the trick with shadows, if you want them to be obvious, but you want them to be subtle at the same time, and so it's going to be a dark band around the bottom of each item, and then it slowly fades to nothing, really, and it's all kind of lines up, but it doesn't. It's interesting how shadows can look so natural, the way that they place themselves, but just let the watercolor do what it's going to do. This is where I lifted up the paint on the back of the fork, and I think it really helped to make it look like silver. Oh, I've got some gouache now, and I've got some circular motion. I'm going to create a circle of steam, and I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm just having fun. I'm playing, but I really love the way that it turned out. I put too much on, and then I had to sort of dab it up and make it a little bit more blended in at the top. I think it's just a little bit too high here, so I kind of had to calm it down a little bit, just tame it, and I like the way that it turned out, because it sort of fades to nothing there. So I ended up going back to my pie, and I think I'm putting chocolate in it now, and I think it would be really yummy to just put little bits of chocolate in an apple pie. I don't know, why not, eh? I think it would be good. Adding a bit of shadow, as I said earlier, the bottom of each item would have a very dark band of shadow right at the bottom, and the lines from the sides of the cup sort of filter into where the plate is. I'm assuming the plate is a little bit wider, and it has a little bit different shadow again. And I just thought I would take this off for those of you that like to watch that happen. I think it's kind of a neat process to pull out the artwork, and then I'll really zoom in on it for you. And I love the way this turned out. It's like a cozy afternoon time outside that, the end of the year, you're just trying to get every day that you possibly can outdoors. And as you can see, I worked it and worked it, finally extended it beyond the shadow, which I like too. It looks like a utensil now with actually a little bit of a shine to it. So thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoy that. And the template is on the website. Talk soon.